Bonjour, pouvez-vous vous présenter?
Hi, I'm Harrison Perkins. I am the pastor at Oakland Hills Community Church, which is a congregation of the Orthodox Presbyterian Church in the States, just outside of Detroit, Michigan. Detroit!
Adam aurait-il pu mériter la vie éternelle? Si oui, comment? Quelle sorte de mérite est en vue?
As Protestants, we do believe that there's no way that a creature can put God on the hook, so to speak, in an absolute sense. But in the Reformed tradition, we have a doctrine called the covenant of works. And in this covenant that God made with Adam before the fall, he offered him the potential reward of deeper blessing than he had even by creation, intensified experience of communion with God, basically glorification. There's a progress available even by creation. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15, if there is a natural body, then there is a spiritual body. And he quotes Genesis 2:7. And so then the question is, well, if God offered this reward to Adam and there was this prospect of eschatology, to use the big theological word, even built into creation, how could Adam have reached that blessed state? That covenant is the answer. That God said that if you do what you're supposed to do, if you fulfill the law and don't break my commandments by eating this specific tree, this probationary tree, then you will obtain this glorified existence. Given that the condition there is works, a lot of theologians in the Reformed tradition have talked about this as a kind of merit, namely covenantal merit. It's not real in the sense that just because Adam did something good, God had to reward him because of how great this work was. If Adam did what he was supposed to do, well, God said, even though I don't have to, I will reward that. It's kind of like when parents tell their kids to clean their rooms, right? And they could just say, clean your room, and kids would need to do it. Uh, but they could also say, clean your room, and if you do, we'll go get ice cream together. There is this, um, that is something that the child needs to do. It's an obligation. And the parent also freely and kindly attaches an extra benefit, a reward to that. And that's kind of the situation. God's kindness is on display by offering Adam even greater blessings than he had by creation.
Quelle est la différence entre la théologie catholique de la fin du Moyen Âge et celle de la Réforme sur la question des mérites?
So I think that one historical consideration to keep in mind is that it's probably not best to talk about the Roman Catholic Church before the Reformation. So the way that I would view this, there's the ancient church. At some point, we start to have distinct developments in the Eastern Church and the Western Church, and so we have the Western tradition that runs through the medieval period, and a lot of problems developed during the late medieval period. But at the Reformation, we didn't entirely break with the Western tradition. We were looking to reform it. And it was at the Council of Trent, right, 1545, when Trent condemned the gospel and said, if you believe that you can have assurance of salvation, if you believe in justification as Protestants have outlined it, if you believe that, you're condemned. And that means that there isn't a medieval Roman Catholic Church. There is the Western medieval tradition that belongs to us as Protestants, sometimes in need of great reform. uh, so then what were the late medieval views of merit? Well, as time progressed, there was this intensifying sense that a creature, by nature, even a sinful creature, could merit something from God. You know, some of the late medievals were talking about how by an act of contrition we could obtain first grace by an act that was congruent merit. Congruent means like half merit, quasi merit. And they were saying that you can merit first grace, you can even merit justification, and then you have to cooperate with grace unto final justification. Now, the reformational view is that, I mean, across the board, is that no sinner can merit anything from God. And this is one of the key features of this uh, premise of covenantal merit is in covenantal merit, the works have to be perfect, you know, and they have to be our obligations that belong to us as God's creatures and servants perfectly fulfilled. And it's not that God can accept our best efforts, which is the late medieval view and the Roman Catholic view. God will accept our best efforts as meritorious. And the Reformation says no. And so this plays right into how we understand salvation. Um, God has to do salvation for us, top to bottom. And Jesus Christ is the second Adam who has merited justification, glorification, everlasting life in every sense for us, because he is the one who has come for us and for our salvation and has fulfilled all the terms of the covenant of works on our behalf, not only in the positive obligations, but also fulfilling, satisfying the debt that we had accrued by our sin. And so these are really completely different paradigms where in Rome, you can do something and earn something from God, and Protestants say, no, Jesus Christ has to earn it all for you.
Comment est-ce que l'image de Dieu joue un rôle dans ce débat? Comment est-ce que cela doit nous informer sur la distinction entre la loi et l'évangile?
When we talk about uh, human beings being created in the image of God, one of the things that should come instantly to mind is that God is perfectly righteous. And if we are meant to reflect his image, that means that to do so properly means we need to be righteous. I think that this is a big part of what our doctrine of the Imago Dei should be, is that God created us with original righteousness. You know, there weren't imperfections in Adam and Eve when he created them. They were upright, as Ecclesiastes 7:29 is going to put it. God made man upright. He made them with knowledge, righteousness, and holiness, as Ephesians 4 and Colossians 3, if we amalgamate those comments on the divine image, put it. Built into the idea of being made in God's image is that we need to be righteous. And I think he made us with that righteousness as natural to us. It wasn't something extra. He made it as part of our constitution, part of what it means to be human. And it was that original righteousness, that integrity, that enabled Adam to have the strength to do what he was supposed to do, to keep these conditions of the covenant of works. When he committed sin by eating that fruit, he damaged the image of God by losing original righteousness. That means that humanity, having Adam's sin imputed and his corruption inherited, it means that we don't have what we need to fulfill our natural obligations. We don't have the ability to keep God's law, his commandments. So if we are going to obtain everlasting life, it has to be by some other method, by some other way than keeping the law. And that's where the gospel comes in. And so this is why we get this law gospel distinction. There is a principle of works in the covenant of works that God made with Adam before the fall, where Adam, who had original righteousness, could do things adequately to earn a reward from God. Because we don't have that, we can't enter everlasting blessedness by the law. And so the gospel is that Jesus Christ has come as the second Adam to earn that everlasting blessedness for us. And by faith, we take hold of him. And so the principle of salvation, of obtaining everlasting life since the fall, has been grace, has been faith in the Savior, faith in Jesus Christ, even since the fall. Saints were believing in Jesus even before he came, looking forward to him and receiving salvation from him in that way.
Comment pouvons-nous prier pour vous?
Thank you, brother. I do appreciate that greatly. I think first, if you just pray that I would be a faithful family man and pastor, I'd be very grateful for that, that I measure up to all that needs to be done for those who are looking to me for various things. I think then second, it's kind of been a busy season, and it probably will be in some measure for a while, with some teaching obligations on the side and some writing projects that I've been trying to do. And so prayers for diligence and efficiency and energy and focus. I would greatly appreciate them, that, I might get these things done well and that they could be a blessing to God's people.